What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the Goose Games. It is your friend the Goose, and the Goose is loose, baby. And we're here today with my 2020-2021 NBA season predictions. I am going to predict the standings for each conference from worst to best, and I'm going to give you my award predictions. The awards I've decided to predict include MVP, Defensive Player of the Year, Coach of the Year, Comeback Player of the Year, and Most Improved and Coach of the Year. I think I might have said one of those multiple times, and I'll give you like the top guys, like a 1 through 5 of each position, so you guys get an idea of who I think will be the contenders. I don't know if I'm gonna predict a champion today. I'll give you my top 4, but I'm not gonna do a whole playoff bracket, any of that yet, because all of this is clearly subject to change. So I have NBA 2K up. I made my head box a little bigger, but I'm gonna go over to the team as I'm describing them, so you guys can get a look at the players in the roster and what kind of ratings they have. So without any further ado, we are starting off with the team you see on screen, finishing in last place in the Western Conference, the Oklahoma City Thunder. What an offseason for the Thunder. They got great value for everything that they flipped, in my opinion. Moving CP3 to the Suns. They just loaded up on picks. I think over the next 10 years, they have something or 5 years, they have something like 17 first-round picks, which is nuts. Taking on Al Horford, you're the perfect team to make that kind of move to get a pick. They're very young. I like Pufazeski. He's a little skinny for the NBA, but I think he can be a shooter. He just has to add a little muscle, maybe. TJ Leaf, I didn't know he ended up here. That's interesting. He's still got some upside. I like Theo Maledon. He's somebody you're going to have to keep an eye on to see how he develops. He's kind of a developmental pick at point guard from this year's draft. But, yeah, this is clearly a rebuilding team. They're tanking for Cade Cunningham, in my opinion. Not my opinion, everybody's opinion. Cade Cunningham is the number 1 prospect for next year's draft. Excuse me. He is the number 1 prospect for next year's draft. He's like a 6'7" point guard from Oklahoma State, so Oklahoma City. Clearly throwing in the towel on the year so they can get him to pair up with Shea in the backcourt. So their future's bright, but they are going to suck this year. So the Thunder come in last. Second to last, how the mighty have fallen, the cost of a dynasty. The Spurs will come in second to last in the West, 14th place. The Spurs, they're just not ready to compete. I mean, I'm shocked they haven't tried to flip DeRozan. I think he could be somebody that moves this year at the deadline, maybe to help a contender or a team competing for a playoff spot who needs some instant offense. The thing about DeRozan is he doesn't shoot. He has no range. He's like a early 2000s guard more than he's a modern day player. And he's old. He's just old. I do love, let me go over to the Spurs. I do love DeJounte Murray. Very good point guard, incredible defender. It's just not a very good team. LaMarcus Aldridge is deteriorating like crazy. There's not a lot to say. They're in a rebuild. I like the Devin Vassell pick. He never develops well in 2K, but I really like the pick. Good 3-and-D guy that can develop. Lonnie Walker still has potential. Samanich. So there's some interesting pieces here. Lyles, Keldon Johnson, Pirtle's back. So they have some interesting pieces. I just don't think they have what they're going to build around yet, and maybe they are also in the running for Cade Cunningham. Okay, so next in the West, out of the playoff teams, I kind of have, they're not listed perfectly in the West because I had some last-second changes. So I am going to say third from the bottom is going to be the Sacramento Kings. The Sacramento Kings, They're not a bad team. I like the Hassan Whiteside. They might actually be better than I'm giving them credit for. It's the Kings. Until they make a real change, I'm not going to buy in. De'Aaron Fox, incredibly talented point guard, super athletic, super fast. Buddy Hield, we've heard he might be leaving, but now that Bogdan is gone, is Buddy safe there again? Harrison Barnes is a nice piece, but Jellica can shoot. Tyrese Halliburton was the biggest steal of the draft. They got him at 12. He's one or a two. He can play either position. Great defender. Just maybe the safest prospect in this year's draft, and they got him at 12. Absolute steal. I'd probably be looking to have him run the 2 next to De'Aaron Fox, so you get some defensive prowess in that backcourt. But De'Aaron Fox is 22. Bagley's 21. They might be moving from Bagley because he hasn't developed. They're also a shit show. No offense, but it's a joke of an organization, and until they prove that they're not, I'm going to continue to assume they will remain clowns. Okay, so now we are 3 spots away from the playoffs, or 4 spots. So these are the 4 teams out of the playoffs. And I'm going to say the worst one of the group is the Memphis Grizzlies. So I have the Grizzlies coming in, what is that, like 10th? 11th? Ja Morant's a monster, future All-Star, is he already an All-Star? He might have already went to the All-Star game. Future MVP candidate, future All-NBA guy. He's excellent. Kind of reminds me of Dame a little bit. Super athletic. I really like him. I like Jaren Jackson Jr. I like Brandon Clark. I like Valanciunas, but how does it all fit? I haven't watched a ton of Memphis Grizzlies games, but I need to know what this is going to work out to be, these 3 right here. Not a ton on this roster. Desmond Bane, a solid pick for them. Yeah, but I just think you need these 2 young guys to develop, Clark and Jackson, and you're going to need to get a running mate for Ja Morant. I don't mind Dillon Brooks, but I don't think he's somebody you want starting if you're a championship contender. I think Ja, though, lifts them out of the basement. He'll get them to like 35 wins, I'd imagine. So next, the Grizzlies are out. These are now the 3 teams that were the closest to making the playoffs, but I have missing. And the team I will list as the worst of the 3, meaning the lowest in the standings, the Minnesota Timberwolves. I like the Timberwolves. I'm a massive D'Angelo Russell fan. What he did for Brooklyn, I'll never forget, and I'll never stop appreciating. He is a big part of what got Brooklyn, KD, and Kyrie. He returned a sense of legitimacy. He made them fun. I really wish we could have kept D'Angelo instead of Kyrie and brought in KD, which sounds crazy because I know Kyrie's the better player, but in terms of chemistry and fan morale, keeping D'Lo would have been huge because the Nets fans, we loved D'Angelo Russell. Karl Anthony Towns has all the potential in the world still. He still has the potential to be one of the best big men in the league. He has to start to play some defense for sure. He needs to become a reliable rim protector, which he just hasn't proven to be. They brought in a lot of guards. I think Ricky Rubio coming off the bench is a good facilitator. Anthony Edwards, they got the pick right at number 1. I like Anthony Edwards a lot. I think he projects to be an all-star at least, potentially even better. Beasley, I love RHJ, obviously, former Net. Beasley, solid 6th-man option, I think. I don't really know what to think of either of these guys in Okogie or Culver. Doesn't feel like they can both be rotational guys. Especially Okogie with his defense. And Culver's not bad either. He's super young. I just don't know what to make of either of these guys yet. They're kind of unquantified. But McDaniels and Bolmaro, nice late picks. They can either be G League stashes or they can contribute this year. I think the Timberwolves have a bright future. They're just very young. Russell and Towns, when they're both 27, this team could be serious and could be a contender. All right, so now we are down to the 9th and 10th seed. And let me tell you, I could easily see these 2 teams making the playoffs. The 10 seed, or yeah, it's the 9 and 10. The 10 seed, I have the Houston Rockets in the 10 seed because they didn't make any moves. They didn't trade. Well, they made some moves, but they didn't move any superstars. So Harden and Westbrook are going to start the season in Houston. I tend to believe it's more likely Westbrook gets dealt. I don't think the Rockets are going to settle for a lesser deal for Harden. And unless the Nets decide to get a third team involved to get them a bigger star back, I don't think it's going to happen. And it doesn't sound like the Nets are that eager to get it done. It sounds like the Nets want to test this core, see how it runs, and then tweak at the deadline. That's the vibe I'm getting, at least. So I don't think Harden's going anywhere, but I think he's going to be disgruntled. I don't think he's going to be happy. Let me go over to the Rockets. I don't think they're going to play well together. They've both made it clear they want to be out. But I do like that they're getting some size, bringing in Boogie to see if he can rebound, which I think he can. I think he can be like a 14-6 kind of guy, a contributor. Christian Wood is an excellent signing. He played incredible with Blake out, and now it's time to see how he can play with Westbrook and Harden. He should get plenty of shots. Yeah, but adding that size is really good for this team. I just don't think they're going to have the chemistry to be a contender because two of their two top guys want out, and everybody knows it. And James Harden wants to be a Brooklyn Net, which it's hard because he has 2 years left, so he can't really force his way until this offseason because you only really have the leverage to demand your destination in a trade if you have 1 year left. And that's because if you have 1 year left, you can tell the team trading for you whether or not you plan to resign. So he could tell Brooklyn, yes, I'll resign with you. I won't resign anywhere else. So if I'm any team other than Brooklyn, why do I trade for a guy who doesn't want an extension from me? So I don't know. I think Harden is a deadline deal or a next offseason deal. But I just don't think the chemistry is going to be right, and I think it falters, and I think the Rockets miss the playoffs. Now, this was the hardest call for me to make between the 8 and the 9. The first team, the last team out of the playoffs, the next guy in. It doesn't even feel good to say it, but the Golden State Warriors. At first, I had them at 8th, going off the idea that I think Steph can drag them to an 8 seed. But the team I have as the 8 seed, I just think has more firepower, and I'll get to that in a minute. But Klay Thompson being out sinks the Warriors. It's terrible. He's got 4 years left, and now he's going to miss a second season in a row. I've heard the reports that he could be back at the end of this year. I don't think you're going to be contending, so why? And he's coming back at 31 at that point. Now, granted, it's Klay Thompson. His style doesn't get hurt by this injury. He can still drill threes. What might get hurt is his range of motion, so his defense might go down. And he's getting older, so it's going to naturally deteriorate. I'm just going to say it. This and next year, the Warriors need to consider if Steph Curry is going to end his career there. And if not, do you move him? Probably in next offseason as well. But, you have Wiseman, you have Pascal, you have some young guys. Do you move on and go into a rebuild? I don't know. That Klay injury is just catastrophic. I think the Warriors, anytime a superstar is going to be on the block this year, the Warriors are going to be involved because I think they know the next 2 to 3 years are the end of Steph Curry's championship window, and they're not going to want that to close for nothing. I think this could make them even move Draymond for his salary. Beforehand, I would think, no, they're never going to move Draymond, but now they could be in panic mode where they include Draymond in a deal to get a star back. But, yeah, I think Steph Curry returns to form. I just think the West is too competitive. So, with that being said, my 8th seed in the West, I'm going to start moving a little. I should have moved faster through the non-contenders. Sorry, I'll pick up the pace. Number 8 is going to be the Pelicans. I think they're incredibly young. They are incredibly athletic with Zion, with Jackson Hayes, Lonzo on the perimeter. I just think they're going to be fast. They're going to be fun. I think they're going to get the 8th seed. I don't feel great about it. I feel like they could be as low as the 10 seed instead of 8, but I'm going to go with them. I'm going to say Brandon Ingram continues his development as a consistent all-star. If Zion plays 60 plus games, they could do very well. So we shall see. The 7 seed, Portland Trailblazers. I like the moves they made. I like bringing in Roko. I think he plays the small forward spot for you, and you get some wing defense there, which is big for them. Rodney Hood coming back healthy, bringing back Cancer, who had some of the best playing time in recent years when he was a Trailblazer. Dame is a monster. Dame is a perennial MVP candidate. The only reason he doesn't get more consideration is because his team doesn't finish high enough. But yeah, I really like them. They come in 7th. Number 6, I have the Utah Jazz, led by Donovan Mitchell with his nice extension. I think Donovan Mitchell continues to progress as well. He's a monster. Kind of reminds me of D. Wade, a little more crafty on offense. D. Wade, early in his career, was kind of more just like pure athleticism, whereas I think Donovan Mitchell is a lot more touch. Gobert, Defensive Player of the Year candidate. Bogdan, former net. Love me some Bogdan. It's a good group. A lot of chemistry. Jordan Clarkson, 6-man, good defenders. Just a good group. I think they'll be a mid-seed, and I have them at 6. The 5 seed, and one of the teams I have making the biggest jumps, going to be the Phoenix Suns with CP3. Look at the difference he made for the Thunder last year, and consider the talent already in Phoenix. Devin Booker is going to be so much better because of Chris Paul. DeAndre Ayton is going to be so much better because of Chris Paul. I love Cam Johnson as a young guy. Dario Saric is a reliable shooter. I really like this team, and I think Chris Paul is just the cherry on top to make them the 5 seed. I think I have them higher than a lot of other people, but I think this is going to bring out the superstar in Devin Booker. So I have the Phoenix Suns coming in 5th. Now we start to get to the championship contending teams. Number 4, the Dallas Mavericks. I was tempted to put them higher, but because of injury risks with their number 2, I can't. I need to see him be healthy for a year before I can assume they'll be a top 3 seed. I'm going to talk about Luka when I get to my awards after the predictions. He's a monster. I think right now his trajectory is the greatest to ever touch a basketball. KP is a monster defensively. I don't have to talk about Porzingis. He's the unicorn. I love Richardson as a defensive 3-and-D guy. Brunson's nice. Powell, Kleba, Cauley Stein, Finney-Smith. It's a good team, bottom line, and you have 2 superstars if healthy. So, yeah, you're going to be competing. Number 3, Los Angeles Clippers. That's right, number 3, not number 2. I don't think they did enough this offseason. You still don't have a primary distributor on offense. Lou Will is not a point guard. He's a shooting guard. He doesn't pass. He's not a facilitator. Pat Bev, not a facilitator. Like, you still don't have somebody to facilitate the ball. And that's still going to come back to haunt them. But they do still have Paul George and Kawhi Leonard. As well as bringing in Serge, which I like. He's a good defender, can run the floor, can shoot. But Kawhi and Paul George, especially Kawhi, you're still locked up as a top 4 seed. Number 2, based on their run in the bubble, I'm going the Denver Nuggets, and I think the Denver Nuggets are going to be one of the biggest teams in play when Bradley Beal and Harden really start to get trade consideration. I think they're awesome. I think Murray and Jokic cemented themselves as franchise players. I think Michael Porter Jr. is going to take a massive step forward. I love his potential as a scorer. Reminds me of a little lesser Carmelo Anthony. They didn't have Will Barton in the bubble, and he's a very versatile player. Good defender, good distributor, good shooter. Losing Jeremy Grant is going to hurt them, but I think Porter steps up big, and I think Barton coming back kind of masks that and almost makes them better, frankly, because I think Porter has way more offensive potential. Yes, and I think once the deadline comes, I think you could see Harris, Porter, and maybe I don't know, they have Hampton as well, Bol, Zeke Naji for a Bradley Beal or a James Harden. I could see it happening. And the 1 seed out west, y'all, shouldn't surprise anybody. It's the LeBron James-led Los Angeles Lakers. They're the most improved team in the league, as well as the defending champions. Nobody was more aggressive. They feel like they think they lost the championship. They're playing like a team that was that close, and they're looking to take the next step. I am so sorry. Except they already made the step. They won the title, and now they're the favorite to repeat. Montrez is a monster. You got the 6th man of the year and the number 2. You got Marc Gasol, who's still a big man who can defend, who can shoot, who can distribute from the post. KCP's back. Kuzma's like your 10th best player. The Lakers, let me put it this way. The only people who can knock the Lakers off their championship pedestal are in the other conference. So let's jump over to that conference. But before I do, let me go 1 through 15. Lakers 1 seed. Nuggets 2 seed. Clippers 3 seed. Mavericks 4. Phoenix 5. Utah 6. Let me get that handed. Trailblazers 7. Pelicans 8. Then the teams missing the playoffs, I have the Warriors. I have the Rockets. I have the Wolves, the Spurs, the Kings, and the Thunder. Now, coming in last place in the East with a comical offseason, I have the Detroit Pistons just loading up on big men. Isaiah Stewart, Mason Plumlee, Jeremy Grant. Oh, my God. Killian Hayes, great pick at pick 7. Really like his upside and potential. Sadiq Bey, good pick as well. Really like Sadiq Bey. Wouldn't have minded if he was a Brooklyn Net. Don't know a ton about Sekou, I'm not going to lie to you, but he's a young guy they hope develops. We gave them Musa for nothing. He probably isn't going to develop into much. I think they're going to try to move both of these guys this season for picks, especially Rose, due to his compatible salary. Could see the Lakers or the Clippers trying to get Derrick Rose eventually. The 14 seed had a great draft, overpaid like hell for a certain player. We're going the Charlotte Hornets. I love LaMelo Ball. I think he's a Rookie of the Year favorite. Gonna have to learn how to defend. Gonna have to get consistent from 3. But he's an excellent playmaker. Natural distributor of the ball. Great court vision. Very lanky. I like both of these guys, Washington and Bridges, as young guys. I would like to see Miles develop a little more defensively. Same with PJ. They're both kind of offensive guys. Malik Monk, you still hope to get something out of. Vernon Carey, Nick Richards, McDaniels. You got some young guys, but Gordon Hayward you gave him a lot, but you kind of have to overpay if you're the Hornets and you want to get somebody, so I get it. Who else are they going to give the money to? No star is going to go there, so get what you can get. 13. Cleveland Cavaliers. This might be low. I don't know what people think of Cleveland right now, but I just don't see upside. Kevin Love's injury prone as hell. Love the guy. Love the work he's done for mental health awareness in men and athletes. Good for him. Drummond is kind of an outdated piece. He doesn't work in today's NBA. He's a rebounder, shot blocker who doesn't really shot block that much anymore. I don't know what to think of their backcourt with who's the point guard they have? Garland and Sexton. Neither of them really defend, I don't believe. I don't know what to think of this team at all, and so I just don't think they're going to be that good. I do like Kevin Porter Jr., though, and I like Isaac Okoro with the number 5 pick. That's a great defender. Now, 15, 14, 13, 12. Cross-state rival of my favorite team, the New York Knicks. The Knicks have improved. I think they had a good offseason, an offseason that was mature and honest about where they are. I could see them looking to move Randall in season, Payton, Burks. I like the Obi Toppin pick. I think they needed a guard, but I like the pick regardless. He's a good offensive player. He is old for a rookie at 22. Like, he's already older than Jarrett Allen on the Nets. So you need immediate impact from him. I've heard Amari Stoudemire comps. The Knicks would love that. So I think Mitchell Robinson's a premier defensive center. He broke Wilt Chamberlain's record for field goal percentage in a season this year. Mitchell Robinson, I'd love to see him take a big step forward. Ntilikina, I like RJ Barrett. He's got to continue to develop. He had a fine rookie year. Hope to see him get a little more efficient. Ntilikina, great defender. You need to see him develop. Knox, I would love to see really develop, but I don't know what his future is, man. If they decide to start him and really give him a shot, there's a chance he steps up, but I don't know. Hopefully he does. Number 11 in the East, closer to the playoffs now. These are the first 3 teams out. I got the Chicago Bulls. Patrick Williams was a bit of a reach at 4, I thought. Would have preferred a Koru. Would have preferred Halliburton. It's not a bad pick. He's a good defender. He's lanky as hell. But I've heard a lot of confusion coming out of Chicago. I've heard Levine in trade rumors. I've heard Markkanen. I've heard Carter. It doesn't seem like Chicago has a lot of continuity right now, and I don't expect that to get better. They have good pieces, and if they decide to make a deal at some point in the season to really get cohesive, they could make a push. But I don't know about Wendell Carter as a center in the NBA. He doesn't have a lot of shot blocking. He's okay. Definitely not a presence. And Lauri, I like Lauri Markkanen a lot, but for whatever reason, the Bulls apparently don't. But I have them at 11. Number 10, I got to go the other way. I have the Washington Wizards coming in at 10th place. John Wall's back. He's requested a trade. This is another one where if they had a lot of chemistry, they could make the playoffs, but I don't see this team being great chemistry-wise because their stars have asked for trades. Other than that, I don't know. Danny Avdija was a good pick. I was shocked he fell as low as he did. He could have went as high as number 4 overall. Bertans, they paid him. He's a good shooter. Rui, they want to see develop, but it's going to come down to these two or the packages they get for these two. But if they do get on the same page, I have them as the 10 seed. They could make a push. And my first team out of the playoffs in the East will be the Orlando Magic. I almost put them in. I just don't know how all these pieces fit. I like the Cole Anthony pick. I think he could overtake Markelle this season because I don't know what Markelle Fultz is still. I don't know who's going to be here either. Jonathan Isaac tore his ACL in the bubble, so he's out for a while. Are they moving Gordon? Could they move Fournier? Could they move Vucevic? It's a team where not a lot of things fit. But if they make a couple of moves, if Isaac comes back healthy before the year's over, I put them at 9 because they have a lot of talent. Vucevic is nice. He can give you like 25 and 10 a night. But because the pieces don't fit perfectly, I can't put that kind of team in the playoffs. My 8th seed in the East. We're going a little long here. My apologies. But my 8th seed in the East, the Indiana Pacers. Bubble God, TJ Warren, exploded in the bubble, and I hope he continues that progression. Domantas Sabonis is clearly a player the Pacers really like, to the point where they consider him their center and are apparently been open to moving Miles Turner. Brogdon and Depot, great defensive backcourt. I would love to see Oladipo make a real push for comeback player of the year, and I'll talk about that later. I'd love to see him return to form and be a 20-point-a-game guy. I'd like to see Turner really be he's a really impactful defensive player, and I want him to continue to be that. I don't want him to get traded and start to bounce around. I think he can be a centerpiece. Maybe not a centerpiece, but I think you could start him on a winning team. I don't know what the next step is to move this team up beyond the 8th seed, but I think they're an 8th seed, maybe even as high as a 6th seed, but I have them at 8. Number 7, a recent NBA champion, the Toronto Raptors. I'm a little lower on the Raptors than most. Kyle Lowry's going to have to see some regression. I mean, he's getting older, getting pudgier. I'm assuming Fred should just be the starting point guard there from now on. I like OG Anunoby. He is an excellent defender, somebody I would like to see develop. Siakam is a shock star. Like, he came out of nowhere, and good for him. Worked his ass off, and now he's the centerpiece. This is a team that's going to be involved if Giannis ever hits free agency. I could definitely see Sai Ujiri going and getting Giannis to go to Toronto. Kawhi loved his time there. He just didn't want to live outside of the United States. He wanted to live in LA. But yeah, I think the Raptors take a slight step back, if nothing else, because of the step the rest of the East has taken. Number 6, my biggest riser in this projection, the Atlanta Hawks. I think they're my largest riser. I don't think they were a playoff team last year. Clint Capella's coming in. He hasn't played a game with the Hawks yet, so he's an addition essentially. You bring in Danilo Gallinari to be a reliable three-point shooter. I think he might end up playing more 3 than 4 because of John Collins, who apparently they're not keen on paying, but for this year can still be like a 16-9 kind of a guy. Bogdan, a great signing, decent distributor, decent shooter, decent defender, just a good, reliable shooting guard. Rajon Rondo is going to be massive for Trae Young. Onyeka Okongwu, I love as their pick. I'm a big Onyeka Okongwu fan. I don't know what kind of contract Capella has. He's kind of locked up. Maybe you let Collins go, though, because you have a guy like Okongwu. I think they take a massive step. I think Trae Young could be in the MVP talks. I really like this Atlanta Hawks team 1 to 10 in terms of depth. Chris Dunn, they got on a bargain. Herter, Hunter, Fernando, all these young guys they have, man. I think the Hawks are going to be sneaky this year and are going to get as high as the 6th seed. All right, now this is another pick not a lot of people are going to agree with. I have them very low compared to others. Miami Heat, I have as the 5 seed. Look, I'm sorry, but it felt flukish this year. It felt like if this wasn't the bubble, they don't get the path they get. They're a superstar away. They're going to be there when Giannis is a free agent. It'll be probably the Mavericks, the Raptors, and the Heat competing for Giannis. But, they played over their heads. They got further than I thought they ever deserved to get. Not deserved to. They worked hard. I'm not questioning that. But I don't know. This roster is really good, but I just don't think compared to the rest of the East, I can go into next year assuming they'll repeat what they did last year. Jimmy Butler was incredible in the bubble. It was breathtaking to watch him in the NBA Finals. I'm a Nets fan, but you guys all, I think you know. If you don't, I'm a LeBron homer. I have a Cleveland LeBron jersey in my closet right now. He scared me. Jimmy Butler scared the shit out of me because I thought LeBron was going to have another Finals loss on his resume for a second. And he doesn't, and I'm very happy about that. But Bam is developing. The fact that he got his max deal might not be good. I don't know if they can afford Giannis anymore. Tyler Hero, the excellent spot-up shooter. He did that, whatever that was, that, like, mean mug face he did. Like, all right, dude, calm down. You're a rookie who's, like, averaged 16. Goran Dragic, they got back on a 1-year deal. Good leader. Duncan Robinson was some shit in the bubble, man. He was shooting the goddamn lights out. But I think they're a 5 seed who could do more if they make the right trades. But I think from 5 to 1, all of these teams are competitive in the East. Number 4, a team that probably should have been in the finals this year the way it all shook out, the Boston Celtics. I don't love their offseason, but I do love their talent. Tristan Thompson as their center makes a lot of sense as a rebounder. He's a dog in the middle. Marcus Smart's one of the best wing defenders in basketball. Brown and Tatum is the best young 1-2 in basketball. I love Jason Tatum. I think he really is he's gonna be a top 10 NBA player for most of his career. And Jaylen Brown will probably be like a top 20 player. Kemba's still Kemba. Like, he's still good. Not the ideal distributor. I would rather have a guy like Lonzo Ball as my point guard on this team where he's not going to worry about points. But still, it's a good team. Brad Stevens is one of the best coaches in the NBA. And, yeah, they're a 4 seed and they're a title contender. Number 3 in the East, my favorite, and I'm being conservative putting them 3, the Brooklyn Nets. Let me tell you about the Brooklyn Nets. We got the man Kevin Durant coming back at 100%. ESPN, all the outlets have been covering it. Kevin Durant looks like Kevin Durant. The league better watch out. He's coming back ready. Everybody said practicing with him, he looks like the KD of old. The ESPN Power Rankings came out the other day and had the Nets as number 6 in the East. You're telling me a fully healthy KD with Kyrie, Karis LeVert, Spencer Dinwiddie, DeAndre Jordan, Jonathan Allen, like the depth is great. Joe Harris, Taurean Prince, Nick Claxton, fucking Reggie Perry. It's a deep team. You're going to tell me that's 6. There's a chance that KD is the best player in the world this year. When we talk about my MVP in a minute, he's going to be in there. The Nets are for real, and the Nets are coming in hot, and I'm glad they didn't make any hasty deals before the season started. Now, they still could, but I hope they don't. I think you go into the season with the roster as it is, and you see how it plays. You see, is Spencer or Karis going to assert themselves as the 3, and is the other okay with being the 6th man? Are you starting DeAndre or Jonathan Allen? I assume they're going to start DeAndre, but I hope by the end of the year it's Jonathan Allen. You have to decide what trade is going to be made. Because I think the deal I'm looking to make at the deadline, I'm looking for perimeter defense, and I'm looking to send out Dinwiddie, Claxton, and either a pick or another young asset to get some wing defense. That's what I think we need still. Big wing. Like a 3-4, like a Robert Covington. Not that he'd be available because the Blazers just got him, but that kind of player. So at the 3 seed, I have the Brooklyn Nets. At number 2, it pains me to say this, but I have the Philadelphia 76ers. I think they'll be a better regular season team than Brooklyn. I don't think they'll be a better playoff team than Brooklyn, but they'll be a better regular season team than Brooklyn. They play incredible defense, 1-5. I think the signings they've made with Curry, with Green, with Howard all help immensely on defense, and with Curry and Green, the shooting. I had a Philly fan arguing with me about how this was a downgrade for the team, and I couldn't disagree more. I'm a polite guy, but I think that's fucking idiotic. The person I was arguing with totally downplayed the value of like shooting in the NBA. What else do you want? Josh Richardson's defense didn't do anything for the Sixers because you already have a ton of defense. Like Simmons plays defense, Embiid plays defense, fucking Green plays defense, Matisse Thybulle plays defense. So you need a knockdown shooter, and that's what Steph Curry is. Steph Curry is going to be what Joe Harris is for the Nets. He is so much more valuable than Jason Richardson in this rotation. It's not even funny. But I think they're going to be very good, and they are also a title contender. I don't think they're going to win the title. I don't think they're going to make it to the finals. I don't think they're going to make it to the Eastern Conference Finals because they've proven to be choke artists, frankly. And Doc Rivers is the biggest choke artist in the NBA. So you bring a team that can't finish and a coach that can't finish, and what do you get? You get bounced in round 2 by the Brooklyn Nets. And the number 1 seed is going to be the Giannis Antetokounmpo-led Milwaukee Bucks. I almost said Buccaneers. I don't think they're the favorite in the East, but I think they'll be the best team in the regular season. Giannis doesn't translate into the postseason. I'm sorry. In the postseason, it gets big down low, and you can't just bully your way down low like Giannis does in the regular season. It doesn't work. I would see a team like the Sixers beating the Bucks in the playoffs because Embiid cancels out Giannis. Like, that's how that would go, in my opinion. And I don't know. Like, this team is going to be close. I think they're Brooklyn's biggest competition. They gave up way too much for Drew Holiday. I can't even describe how bad of a deal that was. But if it keeps Giannis in Milwaukee, it's worth it. Or if you get a title this year, it's worth it. But if the Bucks don't make it to the finals this year, it's catastrophic. Giannis leaves. You have no picks for 7 years. Like, you better hope you win a title this year, and I don't think you will. Let me go through 1 to 15 in the East. Bucks 1, Sixers 2, Nets 3, Celtics 4, Heat 5, Hawks, my biggest riser, Hawks 6, Raptors 7, Pacers 8. Out of the playoffs, I have the Magic, the Wizards, the Bulls, the Knicks, the Cavs, the Hornets, the Pistons. Getting into my awards. I'm going to do this section quickly because we're over a half hour already. Almost at 40 minutes. Damn. My MVP award, my top 5, I think Luka wins it if the Mavericks come in 4th. If they're not a top 4 seed, Luka doesn't win it. My top 5, though, number 1, I have Luka, and then 2 to 5, I'm not sure of, but I have the 4 players. Giannis will compete for an MVP because it's still a regular season award. LeBron will compete for the MVP again because he probably should have won it this year. Embiid will be in competition for the MVP because I think he's going to have the best year of his career. And I think ultimately that's going to be why next offseason Ben Simmons gets moved, or at the deadline Ben Simmons gets moved. At number 5, I have Kevin Durant because I think he's coming back 100%, and I think he could be the best player in the world. And if he gets this Brooklyn Nets team to a top 2 seed, the voters are going to love giving him that recognition. Defensive player of the year, I think I'm going to go with AD. Kind of felt like it should have been AD this year. They showered Giannis with awards. Regular season awards. Have fun with that. But I'll go AD, Giannis. I think Drew Holiday, with the attention he's gotten and the big deal, will get a lot of attention for it. Ben Simmons will be in competition for defensive player. And Rudy Gobert, because, of course. Comeback player of the year, I don't even know if the NBA does comeback player of the year. I'm assuming they do. But I think KD locks it up. It shouldn't really be a question. I put another name down as Victor Oladipo if he bounces back. I can't really think of any other players for comeback player of the year. So, most improved, I have some names. I have a couple of guys from the Warriors because you're going to need somebody to step up for Clay. So, I put down Wiggins. And I put down Kelly Oubre. I think Oubre might be the better pick of the two. Then, I talked about him a little bit on the Knicks. Kevin Knox. Start him at the 3. Let him shoot like he's a number 1. What else? You're not going to be a playoff team. Let Kevin Knox go out there and jack up some shots to see if you have anything with him. And if he becomes efficient, who knows? He could be a 20-point-a-game scorer. He's a decent wing who had high upside. So, and then OG Anunoby, I could see taking a big step as most improved as well. Coach of the year, the way the standings shake out, I mean, it's typically the coach with the highest wins. I don't even know who the Bucks coach is. Who coaches the Bucks? Who coaches you? God damn it. Oh, it's whatever. Budenholzer? I don't know. I could see the Hawks coach. Is that Budenholzer? I could see Steve Nash. I could see Frank Vogel. I could see Doc because he's in a new situation. Spo is a contender every year. But yeah, if I had to guess what the NBA Finals would be right now, I'm not going to be frugal. I got to tell you, it's going to be Lakers-Nets. I think the Nets are coming out of the East, whether they make a move or not, because Kevin Durant. That's the beginning and end of my argument. When he went out, he was the best player in the world. I think he'll come back as the best player in the world, and he will beat LeBron James and the Los Angeles Lakers. With LeBron's old boy Kyrie. That'll be fun. Yeah, those are my predictions for the NBA season. I hope you guys enjoy. Let me know what you agree and disagree with. Other than that, let's hope nothing crazy happens before the season so that these predictions hold. And thank you guys for hanging out. Goose out.